Hi, everyone. It's John Galante, president of AE Ventures, and I'm here with another in our Future of Home Technology series that we're producing along with the Consumer Technology Association. We're tackling new homes and age tech once again via original market research that the association conducted last year. And here to walk us through that data is Janvier DePizer, who is a research manager with CTA. We also have with us Quinn Needham, who is manager of member programs at CTA and working with the smart home division in particular.
Thank you for having me. My name is John Vieta Peaser. As you mentioned, I'm a research manager at the Consumer Technology Association. And I work with a dynamic group of team members to produce topical and relevant research studies that offer our members and the technology industry as a whole insights on a range of topics and industry verticals and product categories.
The world of consumer technology, which is big, big world, right? It's the world's biggest trade show you all produce, so it's big and broad.
Yes, that is also one of the, benefits of being at CTA is we get to produce the world's greatest trade show, as we say internally. Today, I'll just be here, walking through a few of the insights from our latest or one of the studies that we have produced in the past, CTA study, Aging in Place, Staying Connected with Technology.
And Janvier, you have previous experience in the healthcare industry as a researcher, right?
I did work at Kaiser Permanente at one time, and I worked on the internal side, so a better understanding of kind of the business to business side more so than the consumer side. But yeah, I do have kind of a background in that industry.
Yeah, and health is a big piece on the age tech side of things, but it's not everything. Given that, let's hear from Quinn a little bit about her duties because she's more in that smart home realm that is intersecting with age tech, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So I have the pleasure of working with our smart home division and smart home board at CTA. As John VA mentioned, last year we partnered with the health division to produce this research on aging in place. But within smart home, we have a dynamic group of integrators, installers, appliances, really kind of running the whole gamut of smart home. And within CTA, we've been looking for more opportunities for smart home and health to collaborate. For example, at CES, we have our smart home and health categories on the same floor of the show at the Venetian. Started this past year and will continue moving forward. So we're definitely seeing a lot of opportunities for further engagement between these two sectors, and we're really excited to dive in and get to know more.
All right, Janvier, take us away on the research tour.
Yeah, the focus of this study is exploring consumers' drivers and barriers to adopting age technology and also getting a better understanding of consumers' awareness of these technologies that might help with aging in place. So I think this is a really timely conversation that we're going to be having. Some of the market background or landscape that we looked at when we were first looking at this study to understand how relevant and helpful this would be to our members was just seeing some stats on the aging population in the US. So on average, we're seeing that 11,000 US adults turn 65 years old per day, according to CBS News. And 1 in 5 Americans.
Did that on May 18th. Confession made. Go ahead.
Yeah, so the population is aging, getting older, and as those age demographics shift, it's really important to consider how best to meet the needs of this demographic. Not only where they're at, but where they want to be, which is in their home. So, according to another report, AARP report, noted that 3 in 4 older adults want to stay in their own homes and communities as they age, but they're not sure if they're going to be able to do so. So, for CTA and our members, it's important to understand how consumers, older and younger, want to age in place and how the consumer technology industry might assist that journey.
I want to give you just a little bit of the old guy anecdotal perspective on it since I just turned 65, but we've actually been talking about this trend for a couple of decades because the demographers showed us it was coming. While we've had 2 decades of talking about it, we have not had 2 decades of doing something about it. But I think we're at a moment where the demographics are upon us in reality, and there's nothing to do but do something about it.
Absolutely. I think the industry is making a lot of progress in age tech and helping older adults find ways to age in place. And I think this research is really helpful because it's going to help us to ground ourselves in one, what even is age tech or what do consumers think it is, and then how might we use what consumers are telling us about their desires for aging in place to discover opportunities in the market. Just going over briefly the core objectives of this study were to define age tech, understand consumer familiarity and engagement with it, considerations for adoption, so both the barriers and the drivers, and identify future opportunities to serve consumers. Just as an FYI, the feedback that we received was not only from older adults, but from US adults 18 and older, since one, eventually they'll be in that part of the market as well, hopefully. And also, two, oftentimes younger consumers are partnering with parents or grandparents or just older loved ones in general to aid in caring for them, but also advice on technology. So it's important to hear the perspective as well.
The sandwich generation, right?
Yes, yes, that's right.
Rivers both ways.
Getting into what even is age tech, right? What does age tech mean to consumers? For many, when asked to kind of describe what does age tech mean to you, age tech, uh, an amalgamation, I guess, of those definitions was that age tech is defined as technology designed to improve quality of life and independence for aging adults. One of the big themes that we learned from the comments is the idea of the ability to maintain one's independence and take advantage of the devices that allow it. So that included devices like wearables for personal health and digital health, but from a smart home perspective, devices like wireless smart speakers and displays with digital assistants were frequently mentioned because they enable connectivity and convenience. They're able to take commands, allowing the ability to check on things like controlling temperature in the house or the lighting in the house, or even the ability to turn the stove off, all things that really help promote independence. Also frequently mentioned was not so much a specific device, but capabilities AI can enable. So this might include integration into household appliances. And we saw a lot of that at CES this year with the smart ovens that kind of recognize food being placed in the inside of it, and the ability to auto adjust cooking temperatures and timing, or even the lighting solutions that they had on the show floor that are adaptive to environmental conditions or personal preferences. And the same for smart thermostats, those same type of capabilities. So there was a lot on display.
We've had that convenience functionality for smart home forever. Really, I like to call it like ultimate couch potatoes. Like, what can I do without getting up off the couch? But while it's a nice to have when you're 20 something, 30 something, 40 something, it starts to become a need to have.
That's right. Yeah. And there were also AI assistants that, to your point, can help with some of those tasks, some of those not just daily tasks, but kind of health monitoring or things that kind of help support consumers dealing with things like loss of dexterity or memory loss. So consumers really see age technology and described it as assistive. So that's key for improving quality of life, but also maintaining independence for them. Now, that is what they think about age tech. What do they actually consider? What products do they consider age tech?
You guys would have been more thorough in your product category.
Right. So out of 40 technologies considered, in general, smart home technologies and personal health or digital health technology are more what consumers think about or would identify with as technologies that help or kind of assist people with aging in place. So it's about 80% for both categories in terms of what they consider age tech.
Yeah, and some of these you wouldn't automatically put in an age tech category, right? Like smart video doorbell is, become a commonplace consumer technology, or even a smart smoke detector, like those are core a home system functionality, but it's important to understand what the consumer thinks is in this realm, right?
Right, and this was out of, devices that we showed them, so it wasn't necessarily initially on the previous slide, you saw they kind of told us what devices they thought, and then out of 40, products that we presented to them, this is also what they thought, um, was in the realm of age tech. So we see a lot of the based on color coding, that bluish violet color, and those are the personal health devices. And that color kind of takes up a good deal of that top 10 or that outlined box in gold. But in terms of percentages, some of those smart home technologies, kind of color coded in the dark blue color, are very close as well. And we see they're only outside the top 10 by 1 to 4 percentage points.
That's a cool analysis to look at the functionality or benefit delivery of the device, and correlate it to this age demographic. I like that.
The smart home devices that are prevalent or towards the top in terms of what they consider to be smart or age tech are detectors or monitoring systems and security cameras, door locks. I think the common thread is devices that might really help consumers feel secure and kind of give peace of mind are what are considered age tech, more so in the smart home category. So, this is another look at the top 10 devices that consumers consider to be age tech, but more so by age range, as you mentioned. For older generations, those smart home technologies are even more than younger generations, seen as helping with aging in place. So, for boomers and mature generations, that's in that box outlined in gold, we see a lot more of that dark blue color than the bluish violet color, periwinkle color. We see that this includes more of those sense of security devices, like I mentioned, the doorbell, smart doorbells, security cameras, and monitoring our home monitoring systems, which is important for many consumers, but perhaps especially for older consumers who we'll see in later slides really place value in peace of mind and that benefit of feeling secure.
So, can you put what is the age range on mature? I'm not familiar with that.
So I would say that the boomers are about 60 to maybe 78, 79, and mature,
So, this is above 78.
yeah, 78, 79, 80, yeah, that range. So when we see that those last two columns that we're looking at, we can consider that 60 plus.
I think this is a really interesting slide because a lot of us in industry and it would be in the technology industry and our audience served in the builder industry. There are a lot of the folks who are in decision making mode or configuring properties and systems are in the Gen X and younger range, maybe younger boomers, and it's interesting that their perception is more that it's medical related technologies for aging in place. But the folks who are living it, the boomers and the matures, actually see the smart home functionality as being nice. So I think it's really important to understand what a younger generation that might be planning for or working with these older adults on their home environment, they understand what they perceive as age in place technology. And it's a lot of bread and butter smart home stuff, right?
If I could jump in, is also just kind of having that back end visibility. So when you're thinking about boomers or more mature adults, you're also kind of thinking about their caretakers and the access that they have to monitor each of these different devices. So, for example, I think that it makes sense that a lot of the smart home categories and products that you're seeing here have direct integration nowadays to being more visible to caretakers at home. For example, like when it comes to smart smoke detectors, Ring and Kid came out with a smoke detector that integrates directly with Ring's app. So you don't need a hub, it just directly goes to Ring's infrastructure. And that allows for immediate push notifications to be given to caregivers or family. And then having that professional monitoring, I think, is also probably important to adults aging in place because they want that extra layer of monitoring. And there's also another CTA member, Cami Vision. They have Cami Fall Detect, which is an AI-assisted fall detection camera that can be set up in your home, which again helps seniors aging in place, but it also allows for motion-activated recording that can only be accessed by caregivers if an incident occurs. So there isn't necessarily a live stream element to it, but in the case that something happens and people need to be called to help support and assist those seniors, there's also that extra layer again of protection with having a recording of the fall that might have taken place to further protect those individuals.
Hey Quinn, I don't know whether you're tuned into this stuff or not, but we it seems like the, AI with the speech recognition and kind of Alexa, Google Assistant type information as well as control seems to be a big deal. Are either of you aware of uh, the application of AI to develop a more rich set of senior specific prompts and a body of information so that there's more certainty of getting to the pertinent asks and information that a senior would want out of those?
I can't speak to prompting and the data around prompting specifically, but something that we've noticed for a lot of these different devices is that they're now starting to integrate with Siri or your Amazon Alexa so that there is less of a lag time in terms of creating opportunities for seniors to kind of have one place where they are managing and looking at all of this data as opposed to having to manage it across various platforms. So I think that as the AI continues to evolve, we'll see that continue to evolve in terms of the ways in which that data is housed.
So we looked at the devices that consumers consider a part of age tech. Now we're looking at what devices they actually own or share. So here's a look at the top 10 devices that consumers consider helping with age in place that they actually own. So we see that half, or about 52% of consumers, say they own or share at least one of these top 10 devices, equating to more than 136 million US adult age tech owners. But the split between owners of the top age tech devices and non-owners is pretty even. So perhaps there is a market to address, and we can use the data to understand their considerations and convert non-owners to owners. Now, the numbering inside the box reflects the ranking of perception that we saw in that previous slide of what consumers actually consider age tech versus what they actually own. So in the previous slide, we saw that maybe connected medical alert device ranked number one in technology consumers considered as helping with aging in place. But we see here that, as one might suspect, since there's really a specific user and use case for that, ownership is much lower. In comparison, smart home devices such as smart doorbells ranked number 9 in terms of tech considered as helping with aging in place, but it's in the top owned device. It is the top owned device among age tech devices. So while some of the smart home products were lower in ranking in terms of what consumers considered age tech, we see that ownership is much higher. And in terms of what consumers would be considering while they're looking for devices that they might consider owning, scores are indexed so that 100 equals the average of all factors and considerations, and scores above or below would be considered above average in consideration or below average in consideration. The green line indicates twice the average. And we see from the chart, consumers consider ease of use most when considering age tech to adopt, or that would help them age in place. It rates at nearly twice as high as the overall average importance of all the factors considered. That's probably what many of those in the industry who have FaceTime with consumers may hear in their day to day, if kind of discussing products and installation with consumers. Is it easy to use?
It's easier said than done to do easy, unfortunately.
I bet. Again, just underpinning the idea that for consumers, especially for boomers and matures, ease of setup and ongoing use will have some of the biggest impacts on whether or not they would ever consider adopting the product, no matter how great or useful it is.
And I'm going to be a bad lawyer again and ask a question that I don't know the answer to. But I'm going to ask you, Quinn. Are you aware of member companies that have their human factors engineers, the folks that devise the user interfaces and such, really focused on this demographic and understanding what ease of use is to somebody who's 75 years old versus ease of use for a whippersnapper like yourself?
Thanks for calling me a whippersnapper. I'll take that compliment.
You were a whippersnapper?
I do now. I will wear that proudly. Yeah, so one of our member companies, AutoSlide, has been doing a lot in the accessibility space, kind of speaking to what you just noted, kind of thinking about the different demographics that they are catering to. So they are an accessible company that allows for they do like automated door systems and things like that. And they specifically have an accessibility portion of their organization that's focused on senior living and folks with disabilities. So, for example, they have an accessible swing door, which again was created with different demographics in mind. And they also use some of that hands free activation using integrations with Siri and Alexa so that older adults or people at home with different abilities are able to still access those motion sensor door
Thingies, or thingies.
door thingies. Yes, thank you. They're able to use the door thingies without having to use the same kind of motion sensor that someone who might be considered a young whippersnapper may be able to walk by the door and allow for it to open, but you can use hands free.
Beyond ease of use, that's obviously top of mind for consumers. As you might also imagine, cost is the next most important consideration factor. And that includes not only just the low initial purchase price, but the ongoing costs. So they're really hopeful that they incur low to no ongoing costs. That ranks in the top 6 of considerations. Okay, so these are some of the top half is the considerations, the top considerations. The lower half is the least considered, or I guess the least important considerations. And surprisingly to me, at least, that factor that ranked low was reviews, and because we hear from so many that that's important in terms of how they adopt technology. So not to say that it's not important, but it scored less in importance than kind of ensuring that the tech is easy to use and affordable. So something to make note of. So as I mentioned, it's important that the product be easy to use and affordable. And we also saw in that top kind of row of considerations, beyond ease of use and affordability, reliability and accuracy are the top adoption considerations for age tech. But just to go a little deeper, why? What might be the underlying benefits of making sure those considerations are part of the adoption process for consumers? While saving money might be the direct and most understandable benefit of why affordability is important to consumers, some of the underlying benefits are feeling more secure and in control. The value that they might gain from security and control is peace of mind or feeling like they're responsibly managing their resources. So, the top functional benefits and kind of underlying drivers as to why those previously mentioned factors are most important are saving money, trust, ease, effectiveness, and the ability to monitor their health or monitor their homes. Security, control, and confidence are the top emotional benefits that they gain from it. And why, say, ease of use or affordability are the top drivers considered when thinking about purchasing age tech. And beyond that, the reasons why it matters to consumers, again, is that peace of mind, independence, and a sense of self responsibility. So, those are the values associated with feeling secure, confident, and in control. From these considerations and benefits, 4 motivational themes for adoption emerge. So, addressing these 4 areas can help meet consumers' needs related to deeper emotions and personal values as they enter or kind of plan to enter the age tech market. So, making sure these products are efficient, trustworthy, they know that it's going to work, so they have to do it with liability, that they can be financially responsible if investing in this product, and that, again, easy to use. So thinking about, not just what's motivating them, but what are some of those things that they're thinking about are concerns in terms of being able to, one, age in place or adopt and use the technology for aging in place. In general, most consumers do have a concern or two about aging in place. In fact, 9 in 10 are thinking about at least one of these concerns listed. At the top of the list is cost. So, just like it's among the most important considerations when it comes to age tech adoption, cost is a top concern when thinking about ability to even age in place. In the top two concerns is maintaining physical safety, especially for older consumers. We see boomers and matures are more concerned about safety than any other generation. Again, probably connecting to that idea that maintaining independence is something that would drive the age tech adoption consideration because maintaining safety is something that they're worried about. Also, a concern for some, so about a quarter or so, are also worried about the potential home modifications that might be needed in order to age in place. That can drive concerns, time concerns, safety concerns, concerns about just getting it right. So, a whole slew of new concerns might bloom from potentially needing home modifications to stay in their home.
And I'll also just give a quick plug for another CTA member who's highly involved with our age tech and accessibility work called LumaLink, which they offer intuitive surveillance products, but they also have a product called LumaLink, which is a website that links consumers to elder care services, including home modification and monitoring and alert systems, so that they can have a pathway to adoption and make sure, to John B.A.'s earlier point, that they're getting it right the first time and going through vetted companies that can do that important integration.
So, these are some of those concerns about, in general, the ability to age in place. But they have also, consumers also mentioned concerns about just the age technology and the adoption of it and the use of it. So, here we see that some of those concerns almost mirror the adoption considerations. So, beyond just cost, reliability, accuracy, and security, which are kind of towards the top, we also see privacy and data sharing concerns are among the top five in terms of age tech adoption, what might be considered barriers. And that ties back into that core motivational value that I mentioned earlier of trust. Having more confidence in the privacy and security of the technology, especially when it comes to things like sharing information with loved ones or even medical professionals, because some of these devices, of course, allow you to communicate with your doctors or share some of your medical information with them. So that's possibly why privacy and sharing concerns are at the top of the list when it comes to actually using the technology. And for boomers and matures, but especially for boomers, they report a higher concern with many of the barriers for age tech use. So it's important that we address those concerns, or that companies address those concerns in ways that align with the functional benefits that they mentioned they're looking for. And that's going to be key to increasing adoption and alleviating some of those concerns. Beyond that, now looking at the kind of the future of age tech in terms of purchase intentions, what are some of those devices that consumers are interested in, that are going to help them with aging in place? We'll say that smart home tech is at the top of the list. And I mean, that could be a factor of just smart home technologies have the broadest appeal compared to personal health technologies. But I like to also think that it's a real value add to their ability to age in place. So we see in the chart on the right that purchase intent for smart home tech, here are some of the top 10 that are driving that. And it aligns with what we're seeing in terms of what we mentioned in terms of what's driving that technology consideration: safety, security, peace of mind. So I guess I'm going to keep hammering on those um, themes. So these are some of the benefits that one might be seeking and get with what those future purchase intent.
I would actually love to see, the interest in having these smart home technologies for that boomer and mature group versus Gen Z and Gen Y, because I think there's a common perception that the older generation is less interested in technology, and they actually, some of these feature sets have become really popular in new homes, but like there is this mindset of the older client or the older buyer doesn't want it, and it may actually be the exact inverse. They want it even more than the Gen Z and Gen Y buyer. Some of this smart home functionality, because it is that convenience factor becomes a necessity versus a discretionary, I want it sort of thing. So
Yeah, I mean, that's important to consider. I mean, overall, younger generations did indicate a higher purchase intention for some of these devices, but certain demographics within our subpopulations, of course, higher income might of the older population might be a reason why that segment would consider purchasing more than some of those with the lower income. So different demographics within that population subset do purport a high interest in future purchase intention of things considered age tech, primarily smart home. Here are some of the perceptions and thoughts that consumers have and attitudes that they have concerning age tech. Overall, consumers are really optimistic or reported optimism about their ability to age in place and use technology to support them in the future. Majority of consumers view it as very important to be able to age in place and are comfortable using technology that can help them with that. We also see 63% agree consumers should start making preparations for aging in place before age 50. So again, consumers are saying the market is ready for technology that helps with aging in place. Although I didn't put it on here, millennials reported a much higher agreement with this statement than other generations. So I think that further indicates age technology adoption is an important consideration for all adults, younger and older. On the right side of the slide, you'll see that consumers were asked to imagine they were in the market for a new home. And if a home or community were to come up that offered residents access to smart home technology to help them age in place, two-thirds indicated that they would be more interested in that home than not. Again, millennials reported a higher interest than other generations, so I think there should be a lot of optimism in the industry about the future of using and integrating technology into the home. And for millennials and younger, they're native users and perhaps may even get to a point where smart technology being incorporated into the home is expected rather than a bonus. For older populations, though, further education when it comes to home buying, the home buying market might be needed just about how technology can help them as they prepare to age in place and the benefits of some of those built-ins and integration. Based on that feedback, what does this tell us? So, what can the industry do to kind of help encourage age tech adoption? It's really important to connect use case with value add. Age technology is so expansive of a category, and it just also spans other categories like smart home and personal health tech, as I mentioned. So, consumers may not outright think of the technology we mentioned as contributors to successfully aging in place. In particular, smart home tech, while it had a relatively high rate of awareness and ownership and even purchase intent, it lagged behind personal and digital health tech and actually being considered age tech by consumers. But consumers define age tech as tech that facilitates independence and improves quality of life as they age. And smart tech, of course, meets and exceeds that criteria. So it's really important to connect that use case with the value add. Also, connecting those core motivators and values that I mentioned earlier of trust and financial responsibility is really critical for consumers' consideration. Second, mitigate cost concerns. So, cost and affordability are the top concern regarding aging in place or the ability to age in place, and also a top barrier for age tech adoption. That includes both the initial purchase costs and ongoing costs, such as maintenance or subscriptions and upgrades. All of those are top 6 considerations in deciding whether to even purchase it or not. And while it's not the same for all consumers, the industry should really consider not just the higher end, but the budget-friendly options and opportunities to kind of alleviate some of those ongoing or initial cost fears. In addition, age tech should demonstrate how it can enhance financial responsibility, which is a core motivator to age tech because it kind of adds to that consumer's confidence and that independence and feeling like they're being in control and in control of their finances. And third, while cost is a top concern, ease of use was the top driver for adoption. So focus on ease of use during both the design and the UX process, as well as the marketing process, is really critical. Many of the technologies that consumers identified as helping to age in place are most often used for their convenience. So keep ease of use as well as ease of installation and ongoing use at the forefront when highlighting how these technologies can simplify consumers' daily routine and overall just make their life easier. So overall, I think based on consumers' definitions of age tech and their drivers and motivators for aging in place, consumers just want to feel confident about their decision to stay in the home. So any technology that's going to help simplify or enhance that process, and that they understand how to use to simplify or enhance that process is what they care about most.
I think there's a rich stew of need and opportunity here, and there's a lot of work to do for the industry, the folks who are creating the devices, and then the folks who are closer to the buyers, whether that's a channel company like an integrator or a home builder friends. We need system solutions. We need, to think through assortments over the lifestyle life cycle, right? As folks are 65 to 75 to 85, there's different needs and different applications that become more important. And we have to be able to tune system solutions to that stuff. We're not even at the end of the beginning, is what I said. We're in the middle of the beginning, but there's so much to do here, and we need to get working on it now because the market is here.
And I'll just give a quick plug for our Age Tech and Accessibility Working Group that we recently started a couple of months ago. They're really on the forefront and came out of work being done by the CTA Foundation. And they're really on the forefront of having these conversations across different verticals in the industry. So I definitely encourage anyone listening today, if you'd like to get more involved, we'd be happy to connect you with our colleagues on that side. Because I think that it's just such an easy integration between smart home and age tech and accessibility. And to your point, John, this conversation will only continue to evolve.
And I think it's really important to continue to reach out to consumers and understand their perspective. So, from a researcher's perspective, getting that information from consumers as well as businesses on how we can make this process an easier integration process for consumers, what they want in their technology, how they're going to be using it is critical.
I want to thank you too for a really rich presentation and conversation on this topic. I like Quinn's call to action in terms of getting involved with the working group.
This is just our contact information, us in the research department. If anyone has any questions or wants more information about this report or other reports we have in the works, please reach out to any of these links. And also, Quinn has more insight on all of the membership work we're doing. So she is definitely a great resource to connect with as well.